Next, we'll introduce the simple gas law. In this example, we're beginning with Boyles Law.
From Boyles' law, that pressure is inversely proportional to volume. In other words, as the pressure increases, the volume decreases. Example 6.2 says, a woman has an initial lung volume of 2.75 liters, which is filled with air at an atmospheric pressure of 1.02 atmospheres. If she increases her lung volume to 3.25 liters without inhaling any additional air, what is the pressure in her lungs? In other words, we're going to compare pressure to volume, and all of the other parameters are going to remain constant. So to solve this problem, we use Boyles' law equation, P1V1 equals P2V2. And so we know, let's write down all of our conditions here. We know that P1 is equal to 1.02 atmospheres, and V1 is equal to 2.75 liters, okay? And we know V2 is equal to 3.25 liters, so we're looking for P2, okay? So we're going to solve for P2. P2 is equal to V1 over V2 times P1, and then we just plug everything in. We get P2 is equal to 2.75 liters divided by 3.25 liters times 1.02 atmospheres, and the answer is 0.863 atmospheres. Okay, so the next one is a for-practice problem. And this one requires us to think a little bit before we actually can work the problem, okay? So a snorkeler takes a syringe filled with 16 milliliters of air from the surface, where the pressure is 1 atmosphere, to an unknown depth. So we're looking for depth, right? The volume of air in the syringe at this depth is 7.5 milliliters. What is the pressure at the unknown depth? So we'll call this V2 and P2. All right. If the pressure increases by 1 atmosphere for every additional 10 meters of depth, how deep is the snorkeler? So we get a conversion factor there. 1 atmosphere is equal to 10 meters. So we're converting pressure to depth. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this one. So we know that P1 V1 equals P2 V2, and we're going to solve for P2. P2 is equal to P1 V1 over V2. Okay, so we have the 16 milliliters is our V1, and 1 atmosphere is our V1. Okay, so we've got 1 atmosphere times 16 milliliters divided by 7.5 milliliters is equal to 2.1 atmospheres. Now, since these are direct conversions for the simple gas laws, you don't really have to convert any of your units before you work the problems, except when you're dealing with temperature. You do have to convert the units for temperature, okay? So we've got P2 is equal to 2.1 atmospheres. Now, so we know the pressure at this depth. Now we need to determine how deep the snorkeler is. So remember that at the surface, the pressure is 1 atmosphere, okay? So the difference in the pressure is going to be 2.1 minus 1.0, which is 1.1 atmosphere. So the difference in pressure from the surface to the unknown depth is 1.1 atmosphere. And that's what we need to use to find the depth. So for every 10 meters, we have 1 atmosphere of pressure additional added, and that means that the snorkeler was at 11 meters. Okay,